Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Ironclad Tactics? It's not what you would expect, I think, from a game with the name Tactics in the title. I'll explain why in a minute. This is by a company called Zachtronics. They made Space Chem. Some of you remember Space Chem. For everybody else, they played Space Chem, but their brain melted out of their ears, affecting their long-term memory. So they have no recollection of the event. Understandable. Space Chem was brain-bending. So was Ironclad Tactics, but in a bit of a different way. Zachtronics was also responsible for Infiniminer. Maybe you remember that. Basically the birthplace of Minecraft. The game which Notch was heavily inspired by when he created that. So that's kind of a big deal. Infiniminer was never truly finished, and they moved on to other things. But that was where it came from. Ironclad Tactics, when you hear the word Tactics, you would expect, oh, it's like Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre, Shining Force, Fire Emblem. And in this case, no. It is not. It has some of the elements you'd expect from a tactics game, but there are some fairly unique twists. In fact, I would best describe this as a game of scrolls played with 5-second turns. But everyone's playing their turn at the same time. It's a little manic. We'll have a look at it in a minute. But first, let's check the options menu. Not much to report here. It's a very basic game graphically. It should run on pretty much anything. Of course, as always, do check your specs against the specs on Steam if you happen to be running a particularly low-end or old machine. I don't like the fact that they didn't include proper resolution options here. That's not so great. You get full screen, stretched and padded, and then windowed. I like to be able to specify my resolution. A lot of people do as well, so that's an option that I feel should be included in every game. The fact that it's not is, in my opinion, an oversight. You've also got your separate sliders, sound and music here, and you can turn off camera shake if you don't like it, and force an offline mode, which is nice if you happen to be having connection problems. This game, interestingly enough, does try and toss you into multiplayer, and some of the unlocks are in fact only available in multiplayer, which may annoy some people. Admittedly, I can only imagine that the multiplayer would actually be quite exciting here. Now, it also says that there's a team option, because you've got team chat right there. So I assume there are more than one-on-one battles, which could be super hectic considering. Alright, let's get into it and explain exactly what's going on. So, this is a game about an old history civil war, in which the two sides, that being the Americans and the slightly more racist Americans, I believe that's historically accurate, right? Yeah, sounds about right. They are going at it, but this time around, they are aided by the invention of the Ironclad, a coal-powered robot, essentially. And in this game, you have to build a deck of these robots, their parts, tactics, and infantrymen in order to defeat your opponent. And this is the story campaign right here. And it takes you through a bunch of very nice cutscenes, I gotta say. In fact, I think I can show you one of them, actually. We can just jump into the next level, and that should show you a cutscene. Every single time, they've got these cutscenes which are done in the style of a graphic novel, which I very much like. And it gives you a lot of context to what's going on, and it follows the tale, I think, of two brother inventors. Okay, let's go to this abandoned warehouse in Savannah. Is that Georgia? I assume it is. I've got to say, I don't know a huge amount about American geography. I was like, I know South Carolina. I've been to Charleston, and I think we're around here somewhere. Aside from that, I'm very confused. Alright, so let's kick it in, shall we? See what's going on. Alright, so we'll just click start. And we'll start with our deck here, the Tillamook Indulgence. They give you a bunch of weird deck names that are randomly generated every time, which I do very much like. They're thematically consistent and silly, which is always good. As you can see here, you can add a second player. So if you want to play co-op and it's a little bit too hectic for you to handle on your own, which, by the way, I don't blame you one little bit if that's the case, because it is crazy, then I believe you can add a second player here. Okay, so let's attempt it, shall we? So there you go. These are the kind of cutscenes that you can expect. They're pretty nicely animated and quite nicely drawn as well. Good style as far as I'm concerned. Let's see what's going on. That doesn't look good. Okay, it looks like it's going to be some kind of boss fight of some description against the giant Confederate Ironclad. Alright. Oh, wow, it's on rails. That's annoying. It's a warehouse sentry with a rocket launcher. Unpleasant. Okay. Right, so welcome to Ironclad Tactics. What is it? Well, you know I was talking about scrolls? You probably recognize the idea of scrolls in the sense that there are lines, yeah? And on these lines, you will encounter things. You will be able to fire at whatever is on the line, or potentially something that isn't, if you happen to have a splash-based weapon. As you can see here, this sentry robot here is firing off rocket automatons. Unfortunately, they also gain victory points, so this could end up being a little bit unpleasant. Now he's shooting at me with a rocket launcher. Okay, so the idea of each level is usually to get a set number of victory points, and you get a victory point if one of your victory point carrying units gets past a certain point, which is a little unpleasant, to say the least. In this case, I'm actually going to lose this guy almost immediately. I was going to try and maneuver him out of the way, but I don't think oh, do I have the chance to do that? I actually, yeah, there I do. Uh-oh. Bad news. Very bad news. So, if one of your victory point carrying units gets to the other side, you'll be golden. As it stands, that's not likely to happen right now. What we do want to try and do is to get rid of some of these repair machines. So we're just going to start to knock those down. Alright, I'm about to be hit by a rocket. I'm not liking the look of this. One little bit. Let's maneuver out of the way. A deft maneuver incoming. There we go. Excellent. And we shall put a rifled musket on that ironclad right there. As you can see, the turn, it is turn-based, but the turns are going very, very fast. And there's a turn clock in the corner. As you can see, I'm going to dump down an ironclad here to make sure that that rocket does not get past. So I'm going to eat the hit there. I don't want him to get his 8 victory points and actually win the game. He's already on 2 as it is. Ouch, that was unpleasant. Even my armored chassis was not enough to deal with that kind of firepower. Alright, let's start to rush him a little bit. Let's get some cheaper stuff out. So you'll notice that every time you use a card, it's going to use action points. That the base amount of action points that I get every turn is here. There are certain sub-objectives which will allow you to have more action points. I should have maneuvered him out of the way, honestly. That did not go well. Alright, let's get another rifleman in there. Actually, let's not. Let's get a musket on my armored guy. Come on, there we go. This is hectic. There is no pause. It does not stop. You have to keep dealing with it. And thankfully, in this case, I do seem to be doing reasonably well. I'm going to put a field repair on my armored chassis right there. Cool. That rifle has allowed me to take out one of the repair machines. And it has trapped me. As you can see here, I probably shouldn't have moved past that. All of these areas apparently have flamethrowers on them as well. So that's not good. As you save up your action points, you will be able to deploy better equipment and better ironclads. However, because the game is evil like that, it also scrolls stuff off the screen as you go. So you've got to be fairly quick for the most part. If you leave stuff on the screen too long, it will scroll along and you'll end up with another card. So that's how the cards actually cycle through there. Oh, that's not a place to be. Let's maneuver out of the way. I should have maneuvered down as opposed to up, but I really need to destroy those repair machines before I'm able to do anything. Alright, he's deployed a rocket automaton. That could be a problem. I might just have to have my armored chassis eat that. Actually, never mind. Let's put a rifleman in the way. There we go. He can handle it. He might even be able to destroy it before it gets there, but no, it's unlikely. That has a movement of 2. So every time a turn goes off, stuff moves all at the same time, and it resolves all at the same time as well. So if 2 enemies shoot each other on the same turn, then both enemies will die. That's pretty much guaranteed. So there's no first strike or anything along those lines. So that's something you have to consider. And I'm losing horribly here. And as you can imagine, when you're on a level where the enemy is also sending bots at you, in this case we're dealing kind of with a boss monster, but if you're on a level where he's also sending stuff at you, things get really hectic really fast. Scarily so. Alright, we're going to put a rifleman down at the bottom here. This is currently focusing up there. We'll eat that shot. That's fine. We've got a second one coming in, and we didn't even get to get out of the way there. Probably should have dodged that. That wasn't so good. Send another rifleman in. He currently has 4 out of 8 victory points. Destroying the sentry is going to be very difficult. I have enough points to put a heavy chassis out. Okay, that's going to make things a little bit easier. Heavy chassis cost more AP, but of course they can take a lot more hits. Now, you can equip a chassis with pretty much any weapon you want, but it can only have 1 weapon at a time, and each weapon has a different purpose. An improved musket is probably a really good weapon to put on a heavy, because this thing's going to hit for 2, which is nice, but it has a 1-turn reload, so it can be pretty valuable on one of the heavy chassis that has the survivability to deal with that. And we're going to take that guy on head-on. There we go. And I might be able to repair him through some of the damage, but that stuff hurts pretty hard. Okay, I moved him too far. Now, you can pause your rifleman to stop them from, or in fact any unit, to stop them from moving. And it's pretty damn important that you do, because if you don't, well, stuff like those traps will roast you horribly. Okay, we've got a second machine down. We should be able to take another shot here as well, which is good. I need to get a field repair on that guy before he gets obliterated. There we go. Not sure if that's going to keep him alive. I think that hits for 3. No, it hits for 2. We're okay. So 2 damage, 1-shot splash. Now I need to get a maneuver card to move one of my troops down here so that I can finish this off. He's about to die. There's nothing I can do about that, I don't think. It's not looking likely at any rate. Got another shot off. He dies. We'll put another rifleman down here. Alright, so about to destroy one of his last repair arms here. Which is good. This guy, I'm sorry, dude. You're going to sacrifice your life to eat that rocket automaton as far as I'm concerned. Need to get another chassis out. You can see how hectic this is, though. Very, very hectic. Very tactical game, but very hectic. And this is only with the basic stuff. Like, later down the line, of course, there's an awful lot more kinds of chassis with different kinds of abilities. You know, a regular chassis is like, right, it's got 5 hit points, it carries 2 victory points. An armored chassis, that deflects any hit that only does 1 damage. So, that's an interesting thing indeed. We're gonna put an improved musket on him, we're gonna maneuver him up, see if we can take a pot shot. We're not gonna move right now. So, we're reloading the weapon, we'll take the shot. Hopefully he doesn't move to block that shot. Oh, he will, okay. Do I have a maneuver card? I don't. And all of the cards that I'm getting, by the way, are in the deck that I built. So, the fact that I'm not getting maneuver cards is kind of my own fault. I don't think I'm going to be able to place anything in the way of that. Now, I'm going to have to eat that, unfortunately. So, we're going to have to rely on making sure he doesn't get another rocket automaton through. Otherwise, we are in serious trouble. Alright, let's toss out some riflemen for support. Okay, the rifleman can eat that shot. And I'm going to have him hold position to make sure that this guy can't fire his rocket at it. In the meantime, we'll be able to pick off this repair machine. And now I think we can start working on him. Oh, AoE. Oh, this is bad news. This is really bad news. Oh, there we go. I've got an armored chassis. That'll block it. Ooh, that was nasty. All right, now I'm going to maneuver up in this direction so I can take a shot at him. I don't want to move any further forward because the flame traps are on the floor there. He's now starting to outmaneuver me as well. So we have to make sure we intercept everything that's coming in this direction. I'm going to put a revolver on this one so that I've got something that can fire in a wider cone. But now he's trying to outmaneuver my guys to make sure he can get a rocket automaton through. It's all I can do just to kind of keep my brain functioning in this. And this is one of the easier levels. Each level, well, not every level, but most levels also have optional challenges available. Oh, I think I'm boned. Yep, because that guy's going to move too. I can't get a chassis in the way of him. Damn it. Disaster. Absolute disaster. That is a fail. We lose. At least I kind of know what I'm doing now and won't lose stuff unnecessarily. But that was 61 turns in just a few minutes, because those turns tick over very, very quickly. I find the idea of the super speed turns to be really compelling. So, is our deck good enough for this? Maybe it's not, so let's edit it, shall we? Let's go and have a look at the Tillamook. In fact, we can set up a new one if we like. Because I did get some new weapons and some new parts available. As well as, of course, Zebulon's cat. You can have a cat drive the Ironclad, which will give it +1 speed. Yep, that is a head part. Now, you can also have the cat and an arm part, because obviously it's a different part of the Ironclad. So you can kind of customize your Ironclads as you go. Gives you a breakdown of the deck, which can be a total of 20 cards here. And you can have the neutral faction, and then either Confederate units or, I believe this is in multiplayer only, I imagine, Confederate or Union units in the actual deck itself. You, of course, can't have both, I would imagine. Looks like there's a lot more factions available here as well. There's a bunch of stuff that's actually grayed out, so I imagine we're going to run into a bunch of stuff later on. So, we're going to make a new deck. I'm interested to see what it ends up calling this one. Alright, so weapons-wise, we just unlocked 2 light cannons. Not all that use... Actually, yes, it is useful. What's the range on those things? Decent enough. So if we got into range of the repair machines, we could actually hit a lot of them simultaneously. Cavalry Saber is kind of useful here. It hits everyone in these areas right there. So I could use it to take out robots that are passing through. The problem is it only does 2 damage, and those rocket bots that it fires has 3. So we're going to ignore that. We'll take 2 light cannons. We're not going to take the battle flag because there's no flags here. So veteran rifleman, also a possibility. Might be worthwhile. They have 3 health. I think that, yeah, they're a little bit better than their standard riflemen because they're not going to get 1 shot. So we can grab some veteran riflemen instead of these guys. The game seems to encourage you to change up your deck almost every single campaign map, which arguably might be a weakness. I know some people will probably find that very fiddly. And I don't really blame them. As you gain a lot of new parts, especially if you do all the optional objectives to get the bonus cards, then you're going to find yourself perhaps quickly overwhelmed by the number of parts that are available here. But once you understand the different ironclads and the different parts, I think you'll get the hang of switching up your decks. And maybe you can just get a lot of decks put together that will actually make sense in certain scenarios. Like you have a deck that's designed for missions where you have to capture flags. You've got a deck that's designed for boss fights and things like that. Alright, now... armor chassis is not that helpful this time around. So we're going to take heavy chassis, I think, for the most part. I think we can afford to take light chassis, actually, as well. We might even take some prototypes. Prototype ironclads are just blockers, essentially. They're 3 health, they get 1 victory point, and they only cost 1 AP to deploy. So they might be useful. They'll be good for quick blocks to get rid of those rockets that are coming in. We'll take 3 light chassis. Now, weapons-wise, Trumpet, not going to be that helpful. Zebulon's Cat, also not that useful. So, a revolver, kind of useful. We'll take a couple of those. We'll take a couple of improved muskets as well. Takes us up to 16 cards. So, we could take maybe another heavy chassis. And maybe another light. And then... yeah, I don't want to do that because I want to take a few maneuvers. And I'd like to take a couple of field repairs as well. So, there we go. So, that's 2 prototypes, 2 lights... You can see the breakdown here. Mostly ironclads, parts, tactics, and a few infantry. Alright, and that is the Ilium Siege, alongside the Wound Socket Rush. So we'll see what they do. They even give you an indicator of what's in the deck just by looking at it via the picture there. So we'll try that one again, and then maybe we'll do an optional objective for one of these things. I'd like to try some multiplayer, but I'm not entirely convinced that there's going to be that many people playing it right now. But we'll give it a try. Alright, let's give it another bash. And thankfully, you don't have to watch the same cutscene over again. Alright, cool. So we start off with a prototype ironclad and 2 field repairs on the draw. So we will most likely use that prototype ironclad to block the rocket that comes out. I'm going to start down here, because obviously he can only move like once a turn. He's currently getting repaired. He's not launching a rocket yet. Okay, he's launched a rocket, so we'll immediately block that. As far as I know, he cannot maneuver those rockets, so I can just block them immediately. So that's kind of fine. So the prototype ironclad will take that hit. You can't equip these things with anything, so... in the meantime, we'll equip a revolver on here, which will allow him to hit these 2 targets. Cool, so he eats that. That's fine by me. Excellent. Another rocket goes off. What have we got to block it with? Not much. We do have a veteran rifleman that might be able to survive that hit. I'm not sure if it does 3 or 2 damage. Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we? Alright, now I'm going to stop him here. He doesn't need to go any further than that. And then we're going to plump down the rifleman to make sure that he doesn't hit us with the rocket. Now, these cards also... oh, damn, it's a bot. Now, that's one thing I didn't mention. Bots roll over infantry. They kill them if they come into contact. They just run them over. So, that was perhaps not the best plan that I've ever had in my life. Alright, so we're working on that. I want to get a heavy one out so I can deploy this light cannon. I might deploy it anyway. If I get a repair, I should be okay. Alright, there we go. Ooh, took a hit. I might need to repair that, because that may explode for 3. Another one coming out here as well. Ouch. Not good. Alright, let's drop down a prototype. These missions are not easy, by the way. If you're looking for an easy game, you're not going to find that here. It is pretty damn challenging. But that's good. I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not. That's what makes it interesting. And it's hectic as well. You see me in card games where I'll take way too long on a turn. Yeah, this game doesn't give you that. You've got to think on the fly, and it's designed in such a way, and that's what makes it unique. If it was just another turn-based game, let's say, alright, well, it's kind of like Duel of Champions, it's kind of like Scrolls. Here, it's like, well, this is an entirely different beast, because the damn thing requires you to think on your feet constantly. Alright, we can put together a nice one here. We can get a heavy chassis and maybe a cannon on it. That should be able to take a good couple of hits. This revolver here is working its way through this nicely. Now, I'm going to pause him. I don't want him to move any further. He's got pretty long range, so I don't see the need. Alright, heavy chassis is out to block that rocket automaton. We're still plinking away at these repair machines. He only has 2 victory points on the board, so things are looking alright. Things are looking pretty good. Okay, so we take the hit from the rocket. I'm going to put an improved musket on that thing, give it some range. I'm going to have it stand still as well. Because the improved musket, I think, has got the range it needs. Actually, yeah, let's just have it move. It's not going to help it that much here. I need a maneuver card so I can get my rifleman into a good spot. Right now, he's not. Okay, so pop goes him. We have a field repair. That's not what I need right now. Come on, I need a maneuver card. Nope, still nothing. It can be a little bit frustrating to not get the cards that you're looking for. Admittedly, you can put a lot of the same card in the deck. If you really want to stack a particular strategy, you can do that. The deck limits are not exactly what I call strict. It's limited to pretty much 20 cards and 2 factions, and then as long as you have enough cards, you can put almost as many as you want in there, really. Okay, a maneuver is available, but we need to block that off. We could maneuver this guy up. And we can take a shot here with the veteran rifleman, who is not going to die from that first shot, so that's pretty helpful. And we're going to switch out for a light cannon, maybe? Nope, that was not the right call, because it shoots in a line, and I currently don't have a shot on him right now, so that was a bad idea. You live and learn. Alright, he's down to 3 right now. Okay, so we're loaded the light cannon. We need to be able to maneuver, though, otherwise we won't be able to hit him with anything. Let's maneuver him down in this direction. Plump down a veteran rifleman. Kind of doing a decent job of picking him off. I'm going to have to hold position here. If I move any further, then obviously horrible things will happen. Do I have repair for this? Oh, we took a hit. We're actually getting AoE'd now, which is even worse. Uh-oh. Let's get a field repair off. I still haven't given a weapon to this one, so he's completely useless right now, but if this guy decides he wants to come up here, he's going to have a nasty surprise. There we go, an improved musket. Take a shot. Do we get a shot with the cannon? It's a 2 reload. Is it ready to fire? Evidently not. I'm getting outsmarted by a guy on training wheels. There we go. Fantastic. So that was a little hectic. And that was just one of the basic missions. Frankly, Ironclad Tactics is really, really fun. It's a bunch of nice concepts put together in an effective setting. It's very strategic. It has a good variety of ways to do missions as well. I think that's one of its biggest strengths. You can see, obviously, there's a lot of really cool items that you can actually put on your ironclads, but that right there, I only unlocked 2 out of a bunch more cards that are actually available here. Yeah? You can actually play the boss deck, which is really awesome. That's a great option. It's kind of like playing a raid deck, I suppose, in the WoW TCG. You can play the boss deck against another player, and if you successfully play that, you unlock some more cards. A skirmish will get you more cards as well. There are optional objectives. There are puzzle modes on some maps. Like, for this one, you have to basically defeat the map using a set of cards that are given to you. You've got to figure out the one and only solution. Yeah? This one is a Skirmish Blitz. This is, you unlock the rest of your cards by playing a multiplayer game with very fast regenerating AP. So it's like an absolute nonsense of a battle. I'm really interested to try and play that. Let's see if we can join one. I don't think so. I think I'd need to invite a friend here. It doesn't look like I can matchmake on this mission. This, if anything, is one of the only kind of weaknesses that they didn't really think through. It's like playing as other players in a sudden death mode. Okay, but I would have to invite friends who have the game to do that. It doesn't seem to have a matchmaking mode, and I want the cards from that, but I can't get them because it requires me to play that skirmish. I mean, it's only 2 infantry cards, but there's still a bunch of cards that I can't get. The other thing in there is an optional objective called a story challenge, where it's telling me to defend the Jefferson statue, which is quite difficult. The other story challenge was trample 5 infantry, and then I got bonus cards through there. So it successfully combines tactics games, high-speed strategic action, and deck building. Very, very nice. Like, that is pretty much my crack, as you're well aware. This is my kind of game. No real doubt about that. I'm not massively impressed graphically by it. I feel that, considering the high quality of the graphic novel cutscenes, I would have expected perhaps a little bit more from the game when it came down to its actual battle graphics. A little bit disappointed in that. Let's try another type. I just want to show you a different one, because you just saw a boss fight, which is a little bit different from the regular. So, we could play this skirmish on... Yeah, let's play the Suffolk skirmish. Let's go with that. Game mode. Yeah, I'd like to play against other players, I really would, but it doesn't matter, because I can't matchmake on this game. So, I think you can do that via the main screen. I think it's possible to do a random 1v1, but via the campaign screen you can't do that, which is a little strange. Not sure why they would have that happen. But we can play the story mode again. That's fine. And I can show you exactly how this works. So we did get some new cards. Let's have a look at the Ilium Siege deck, and maybe we can switch it around, because we did get the Congreve Rocket, which is a big splash, and then I have redundant systems for the head. That's pretty cool. That heals you up. I'll probably take some armored chassis on this one, because I'm pretty sure they have a lot of 1 damage stuff. So we'll toss away our prototypes. Get a couple of armored chassis. Deck management can get a little bit of a pain until you start using all of these filters. You probably will have to do that, honestly. Otherwise it gets a bit hectic. And as you can see, I believe you can have up to 4 of the same card in your collection. So, fairly flexible as to what it lets you do there. You could potentially have a deck with 5 copies of 4 cards. Well, 4 copies of 5 cards. What else do I want? I might need a couple of infantry here, because there's a lot of capture stuff going on, but I do have some veterans. They'll probably do the job quite nicely. Alright, that should do the job. Let's save changes, and we'll use that, and I will show you a more regular battle. Okay, on this mission, there are some optional objectives. You can capture these to increase your AP generation, which is pretty important, because obviously you'll probably get overwhelmed by the enemy if he has more AP than you. The enemy is bound by the same rules for the most part. They're bound by kind of standard deck-building rules. Okay, so he's going to get through there, which is fine. He doesn't actually give victory points anyway, so I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm going to dump down the light chassis here. That's going to trample him quite nicely. Okay, one of his own light chassis coming out. We could get the cannon out. That might not be a bad idea. I'm only gaining 1 AP per turn, though, so I've got to be very, very careful with how I do this. Currently, I don't even have a weapon on that guy. Let's give him a revolver. He'll be able to finish him off without too much of a problem. Alright, watch out for that Ironclad. He's got a rifled musket. A armored chassis would be a good play against that. But I am still below him in terms of AP, which means he's going to be able to overwhelm me soon if I'm not careful. Not liking that. Not at all. I'm going to hold him in position for a second. Armored chassis comes out to stop him. So that's fine, because the musket won't do any damage to an armored chassis. So that should be absolutely fine. He's going to stay in position right now. I need to get my infantry out to capture this stuff. I don't even need to give him a weapon right now. I can just have him sit there, because he can take those hits forever. Alright. What else have we got? I need AP so badly here. At least I'm getting some good shots off. This guy's paying for himself quite nicely, but I need to take this area. Yeah, this is the game. I mean, this is what it is. And I think it's really quite wonderful. It's clever stuff. It's got a great soundtrack as well, I gotta say. Not so keen on the sound effects, but the actual music is awesome. I'll just let you hear a little bit.
What's going on? What's going on?
Definitely not too shabby on the music front. Very, very cool indeed, as far as I'm concerned. Alright, so we're going to try and finish this off. It turns out the cannon can actually only hit stuff back there, so this is actually useless. That's why I'm just going to give him a revolver instead. That'll be a much, much better job there, I think. I need to get this guy out of the way so that my infantryman can actually make its way through. The holding position aspect is what I find very interesting. I think they could have just made a game where the enemies just keep running at each other and you can't stop them. You can send them from side to side, but you can't stop them moving. But the fact that you can stop them moving opens up an entire new set of interesting tactics. especially involving weapons that are quite long range, like, say, the cannon. That's very interesting indeed. And it also means you could actually block off, say, infantrymen from moving down here. So if I want to maneuver around this, I can't really, because he's blocking off this side. So I think there's all sorts of really cool ideas that could end up working with that kind of thing. A lot of cool ideas in general behind this title. I like it a lot, I really do. It's called Ironclad Tactics. It is available on Steam for $15, your regional equivalent. I think the only problem I currently have with it is finding people to play it with so that I can actually get the whole amount of cards. If they do have that random matchmaking, it does seem like they'd want to integrate that into the campaign map, and it's a little strange that they don't, honestly. I find that odd, to say the least. But hey, I will see whether or not they intend to actually put that into the game later. It's probably a good idea that they would, because I could see people getting rapidly annoyed by having to try and find people specifically to unlock the rest of their cards. That's going to be a bit of a sticking point for some people, I think. Alright, folks, there you go. Ironclad Tactics. Very, very cool game indeed. I would strongly recommend that you check it out. It's currently available on Steam. If you're looking for something that's a little bit brain-bending, I'm not responsible if your brain melts out of your ears. That's got nothing to do with me. My name's been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.